Your wish has been granted.
What is going on, guys, and welcome back to the Champs Table, the podcast all about Dragon Ball, TCGs, and anything else I want to talk about. Stepping into the ring with me today, it is a familiar face. It is Mr. Brother John RabidSquirrel. Thank you so much for coming back on the podcast.
Yo, it's been a bit.
It's been quite a while. I think the last time we got together to talk was right after Nats. That's the last time anybody's heard from me outside of a couple of videos that I've posted for the Cyberpunk TCG. It's been a nice little break away from Dragon Ball. I'll admit, some of it was a little bit burnt out. Some of it was just kind of wanting to take a break from, Dragon Ball altogether. Since nothing was really going to be happening, I thought about different kind of videos I can make. The reveal season's kind of been dog shit, and so, it's just hard to make content for Dragon Ball right now. And that's one thing that I was very aware of when I started up doing this channel to begin with. But I digress. We are here to stay. We're not gone anywhere. I just took a little bit of break.
Ready for a new year.
Hopefully. I'm feeling a little bit of sluggish about it, but I am excited about the new set. But we just wanted to take the time to actually, have a recap of the whole 2025 year of Dragon Ball. But first and foremost, John, how was your holidays?
That wasn't too bad. I don't really do a conventional get together with family, so my wife and I just kind of, got Chinese, went to see the movie, and kind of just chilled. Had some time off of work, so that was good too. Other than that, it really didn't do too much.
Yeah, I'd say it's about the same for me. I didn't really do too terribly much. I did go hang out with the girlfriend's family for a little bit. That wasn't even actually on Christmas. It was on the Saturday afterwards. So, I don't really do too much for the holidays in general. Except for maybe the day of or the weekend after, just to kind of visit with family or friends. But, I'm not real big on the holidays. I've never really been, but, definitely later in my later years, I definitely don't do holidays all that much. But not that I'm a Grinch, it's just not my thing.
Yeah, we got some friend get-togethers coming up, but, a little postponed, so it'll bleed into the new year.
So did you do anything interesting since we last talked? I'm sure you took your own little break away from Dragon Ball.
Yeah, I took a little bit of a break, but I still did the local for these past couple of weeks, except for the the holiday season. I did kind of put out a feeler for it, but then ultimately it's kind of just easier to push it back for these next couple of weeks for the holiday. Let everyone spend time with their families. And recharge, I guess I should say, while we wait for this new set to kick off and whatever new season is upon us.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the new set, but I have my feelings about it. I feel like it's a little bit of a waste of the set because it was delayed to high heaven, and also, we're not going to have any actual real events for Dragon Ball until after Worlds, which right before Worlds is set 30 is going to come out. So
yeah,
definitely a big waste.
I think we
set.
have a couple of regionals, so maybe we might get one for the event, because unless the set comes out early March for set 30, I think there's 2 regionals that were posted for the end of March, but not for North America. So we could still be waiting, but we'll get into that probably later.
Yeah. So we just want to, again, like I said, we're just going to go over an overall recap of, the year itself, kind of our thoughts on it, reflecting on the whole, I guess we'll call it a season, and, our own personal journeys through 2025 when it comes to Dragon Ball, and kind of give it a little bit of overall ranking. So we're going to start off, John, how, not for you personally, but just Dragon Ball as a whole, for the, including the community, the sets, everything that's happened over the course of the year, what grade would you give Dragon Ball Super Masters Season 2025?
Yeah, I'm honestly thinking somewhere in between the C plus to maybe low B minus. It had a lot of ups and downs. Starting with potentially LCQs, but then wildfires happened, which were kind of out of everyone else's control. But then the reschedule kind of pushed everything. I think that's kind of what started it off, because that whole LCQ and Worlds was supposed to be in January, And then to have to wait 3 more months to kind of get everything finalized. I know Bandai took a hit on it for their venue, and trying to recoup from that, but it was a pretty I don't know, slow start to the year. And then as we move through these this month or the months upcoming.
I definitely can agree with that. It definitely was a really rough first step into the year. I kind of put that out of my brain because that wildfire situation kind of put a damper on my own spirits, because I was gonna fly out to LA or wherever the hell I was at, Pasadena, LA, wherever.
It was in LA originally, and then Pasadena is where it got set up afterwards, because I think Core TCG hosted it.
Okay, because I know I was flying out there. I was gonna participate in the LCQ, hopefully get into the finals, just to kind of get back in the game, because I also had just gotten back into playing Dragon Ball the month prior, like the December before Nats. I finally showed back up, stuck my nose back into Dragon Ball, and I was, I felt, as one does, I went, feet first, and I was like, you know what, the next event, I think it was my buddy Max. He asked me if I was going to go to Nats. I was like, well, I probably could make that happen. Not that it would be a good idea, but might as well, right?
Yeah.
And so I threw together a deck. I was gonna play Aegis Gogeta, and then the scary, spooky Zamasu Mill. As I was kind of learning about the current meta and everything, I was like, that deck draws way too much to go up against Zamasu Mill. So I was like, I gotta figure something else out. And then it became, I was gonna play Black Cooler, and it's just kind of one of those things where I fell into the same trap I always do. I didn't play it enough. And then of course wildfires happened, and then it didn't even happen, and then I think the LCQ got moved to the end of February, and again I just didn't practice enough, and then I think I went 3-something through X5 or whatever with it, but regardless of which regardless of which, it wasn't a great run. I do the same shit I always do, which I'm always disappointed in myself about. Had a funny interaction with Lil Cletus. Shouts out to Dalby. but yeah, no, it was just kind of an interesting start to coming back to Dragon Ball. And of course, I'm kind of glad, I didn't fly all the way out, because that, if my results were going to be, as they were from the online one, then I would have flown out to LA for no reason.
I honestly think that the LCQ, I didn't even get a chance to play in this year for it. I think I had other plans that were on the same weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But it all led into our World Championship for the year, the first regional of the new season. I know that was also the time that people wanted to use the Panzino, but they had logistic error, so no one could use the promos.
Mm-hmm.
Probably would have been a much different regional season and or potentially Worlds.
Yeah, at least a different start. And Worlds was the very first quarter of this year, even third if you want to be a little bit more general
Specific.
about it. I think thirds is the best way to look at this. The first third was really, really rough, from the fires to Nats and Worlds getting delayed, and then of course the promo lockout, and then Worlds and Nats itself was a travesty to watch, everything about it. I was watching all the way through, but the games were just
it was a rough time. I remember reading through the stream, what was happening, the back and forth in the Discord of I think it was just a really not great weekend.
It was not a good representation for the
and the
community.
fact that Worlds itself was being untimed. How long the match itself took, because it was long and drawn out. I mean, of course, Yellow doing what Yellow does.
Mm-hmm. But even for Yellow, a 2-hour round one.
Yeah,
that's pretty egregious. I understand it's Worlds, we want to have definitive winners and all that, but holy hell. But, and then of course we had several, like, I don't want to say cheating, but like just a lot of, in a roundabout way cheating, but like misplays, improper play,
A lot of
inactive
sloppiness.
judging. Yeah, very, very sloppy nationals and worlds in itself. And like, it was just a very, very bad representation of Masters as a whole. And I think, like, was that right before or right after History of Z was released?
History of Z came out in, I believe, March.
So,
Yeah, because it was our long crawl as we go through this year and this grade of History of Z, then leading into the next set, and taking that like 6 months to have another set come out. And I think Bandai was shifting to now releasing 3 sets a year, or yeah, I think 3 sets a year. So it was one every like 4 months, which is good to try to like solve a format or like see what like creativity can come out of these sets. But I know that it also just kind of took forever. So we were in the History of Z meta for a good while.
Yeah, and it again, just with all the like the stutter step of like the delays and everything, it kind of made, like, I don't want to say History Z was like a wasted meta, but it kind of was, but it kind of wasn't, like, because there was events for it. We did get one of the more broken decks out of it with a Warp Jita, and we did get the Gamma Bros back. Honestly, I was kind of surprised about the Gamma Bros because I kind of thought they weren't going to do very much. I just kind of looked at it like discount Gamma Bros from Ultimate Squad. And, or was it Wild Resurgence?
No, it was Ultimate Squad. It was, yeah, I mean, being a soft reboot, not potentially, but a soft reboot in a sense, but being a different lead. I still gravitated towards it because I played in the original Gamma. I did love that deck, and I did do a lot of playing back and forth with the new Gamma. I think it's actually what I played in a couple events as well. Between that and Vegeta.
How did you feel about History Z as a set in general? Like, did you enjoy it? Do you think it was a great set?
I think it had a bunch of good cards overall. It definitely having like Vegeta and all of the pieces for that. Gamma. I kind of overlooked Adventure, even though I know that it did do pretty decent or had some good turnouts for events later in the season. I think overall a solid card pool to add.
I can agree with that. I think it kind of was a pretty standard in the way that there's like with most sets, I would say there's always 2 good decks, a couple of like average decks, and a bunch of bad decks, and then sometimes you won't get a whole lot else out of it. But I will say that History of Z was really nice because it introduced a lot of like generally good cards, so they weren't necessarily archetype locked.
Yeah, and the cereals too. I believe
cereals were fire.
Yeah, so I think that's probably the roundabout of it was the one, the cereals, but 2, all of the cards that were chosen for that being generically good, especially for Red, having the Goku, which I think is played in almost every Red deck nowadays. Honestly, the more that I think about it, it was a pretty cracked set out of the gate for good cards. Especially a lot of cards that are more generic that we see use right now. Considering you have all of the red unisons that get used, like Shenron, Boo, Jiren, as form of like board clearing. I don't really know what to call them aside from like all of the like the Broly, the Gohan, all of the colored specific generic cards. Like Broly Vigor was really more generic for yellow, but also good for the Big Iron Broly deck as well.
Yeah, and I think like Big Iron Broly was probably like the 3rd place when it came to the competitive decks, because it was Warp Jita, Gammas, and I think Big Iron Broly was the only other one that really did something. that I can think of right off the top of my head, because I know the Frieza deck didn't really do anything. Zenvoker did not do anything at all. It broke my heart that it didn't do
Broke
anything
your heart
at
a
all.
lot. I think Meki and Supreme Kai is kind of like a little bit of an underdog in that, because I know it did. I'm trying to think of the cards themselves. I think the cards for the theme helped, just like Demon Realm stuff in general.
I agree. I think I hate putting it like this, but if Meki Kai was a Black Saiyan deck, it would have been probably pretty cracked.
yeah, I definitely agree with that.
It suffers from not being a Saiyan deck, because all the best black decks have always been, a Saiyan deck of some kind, and like Meki Kai does a lot of good things. It puts on a shitload of pressure very, very early on when you build it ideally, and it basically kind of high rolls into its victories most of the time, and then it dies in the later turns. But I feel like if it had the same kind of tools that black Saiyan decks had, it would have done a lot more, which is why we've seen Panzino do so well. And it's been Panzino for the past 8 months has been like the premier black deck, I would say.
Yeah, I will say that leading into Panzino becoming a real deck, that you had Beyond All Limits taking the axe as far as the ban list went, as like kind of the only card that was banned for that period of time. And then now, moving forward from that, we see all of the other hits that History of the Z kind of brought into the light, between the ongoing use of Haze, Annihilation, the Broly, Red Black, not multicolors.
And then Absolute Annihilation got banned. I don't like that the Brolys got banned. I feel like they should have been just leader locked, because it kind of affected decks, especially the Ultimate deck Toa, like indirectly, and now an already bad deck is literally rendered unplayable because they don't have that access to that card anymore. And I never like bans like that, Also, it just popped in my head, the ban list that Beyond All Limits got hit was also Bunny Girl. Bunny Girl got hit.
I think she was a little bit before it, actually.
Was it before? I can't remember if it was like... Oh, Bunny Girl got hit as sort of like a E-ban before National.
Yeah, because of Kid Q from set 25 into 26. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, from set 25 into set 26. The Kid Q meta previous. Okay,
there we go. Like literally, my recording paused.
Oh.
Luckily, you're recording, so I could. You're the one talking in that aspect. It's fine.
Yeah,
I was like,
edited it in.
Yeah, it was like for like 30 seconds. I was like, what the fuck just happened? I need to keep my hands away from my keyboard. I hit the space key, and that's what happened. So
Bunny Girl took the hit, and then we moved forward, and then we kind of came into that the new meta with History of Z.
That was, I guess, I would say like a really positive thing that happened out of the first beginning of the year, because Bunny Girl got hit. And like, I don't necessarily like that hit either because it affected Earthling decks, but the fact that they were proactive with Kid Q, because they also nerfed Kid Q, and I think they nerfed it in a way that it would needed to be with its unison removal.
I agree.
So I feel like maybe Bunny Girl could have been limited to Earthlings and it would have been fine, but that's neither here nor there. I like, because that card really, really, really hurt Earthling decks not being able to play that again. And then we moved into, I believe, the anniversary box. Now, the anniversary box was an incredible set, if you want to call that, like subset, because it offered so much great support to a lot of decks that I don't think there's really truly anything bad support wise that came through that. Like some decks, it didn't really help too much. But also, we lost out on that format completely because of the timing of everything, because it released and I think like 4 weeks later we got Prismatic Clash. So we got one event of Anniversary Box meta, which I believe was an EU event, and then nothing else. So like that was part of one of the L things.
I say July into August, and then September was the start of Prismatic Clash.
And I think that was one of the bigger L's of this season, because there was a lot of cool decks that could have seen the light of day had we had enough time to like experiment with the Anniversary Box. I think, the obviously we seen with, Nationals, Kefla got put into broken status, and, that was arguably, if not the definitive worst Surge leader.
For the longest time, everyone wrote it off.
And so...
And now it's, it took second at Nationals.
Yeah, it's the best Surge leader, and... I honestly got caught off guard with that too, because I thought Surge Q would do better.
I agree. I think in a vacuum, like Surge Q versus Kefla, like Surge Q seems better. But I think with like newer card pools as well, Kefla can kind of just like maintain that ground because blue is such a strong color and yellow is such a strong color. Where if you take it to like Surge Q's level, you're balancing between red and yellow, which again is still very strong, but I think the leader doesn't offer as much in terms of value now. I still think it's a very strong deck, given what it can do, but I think the initial nerf that it took, back during the Surge era, kind of still, makes you have to choose the best time to activate the skill.
Yeah. And it's definitely, and all Surge decks were like this, but even more so with Surge Q, especially with its support guy, it just requires a very good pilot. I mean, Klinger did very well with it, but, I don't feel like there was very many people out there who put in the true effort into it. I think we would have seen Kefla early on had the promos not been bought out to oblivion and nobody could get a hold of them.
I agree. I think this also just stems from the time that the Anniversary Box came out, to not really have that time to explore it within all of those decks in that space, and then having to kind of gear up for a brand new set, the kind of like next wave of the block. For these new in the new series moving forward, Ultra Bout.
Yeah, and the other decks that got really great support out of the Anniversary Box, Sin Zeno, that the support it's got was cracked. Majin Vegeta.
That was right out of the gate. The Glass Cannon high roll deck,
which
got a lot stronger with the way to play the 4-drop Prince of Destruction triple strike as early as like turn 2, and not just once but twice and sometimes 3 times.
Yeah, I witnessed it happen 3 times in one turn, and of course that was putting them all in on the they were gonna win that turn or they were gonna lose the next turn, but the fact that you could do that, 3 20k triple strikers for effectively free, is disgusting. But it suffers very hard from the fact that it's a Glass Cannon deck. So if you like quick games, play that deck. But it just never amounted to do anything except for like I think one of the events in EU it like topped, but ever since then it really didn't do much. Then there was Future Gohan. I think the support for that deck was really good too, but it rides or dies on Future City, and so you have to like run it at 50 or as close to 50 as possible because you need to see Future City. Otherwise, you basically it's too slow without it. And so then you lose from that. Then the red hit deck, Reboot Hit, it got cool support. I mean, a lot of people speculated that it was going to do a lot. Damien, one of them, he still believes in that deck, but I didn't end up doing a lot. Like, it's just kind of really unfortunate because there was a lot of cool support, a lot of good support, And like we said, no one got enough time to experiment with it to see what could be really done. I mean, there's like every time I look at all the decks that got support in the anniversary box, I'm like, how did this not do anything? But then, of course, we got Prismatic Clash, Ultra Belt started. Of course, we got the biggest W. We got White.
Yeah. Doubling back on anniversary box, I do think that the set as a whole, or the box as a whole, was really great for all of the theme support that it gave, because you do see, like, even like the local level, or just people that play like pickup games, of being able to play some of like their favorite leaders with that new support. And going back on like the future Gohan, you also had support for like the cooler Unison, which was always more of a fan favorite deck too. I also I like the hit stuff. I do think that it could have some legs somewhere, but with everything else that's now coming out, I don't think I'll ever make the time to go back to it unless I really put myself in a think tank for it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, some of it, like, it basically brought a bunch of, like, a couple of decks into like meta status, a couple of decks into rogue tier status, and then made a couple of decks that were like really unplayable into moderately unplayable. Because I mean, arguably, I think like the worst support was for probably future Trunks. I mean, I've heard people put a lot of value into those cards. I'm not saying that the support wasn't good. It's just the decks themselves are just really not good. I know Goku Black Ultimate deck support was really good. It's Ultimate deck Goku Black, so it's just not a super great deck. And like, I feel like I should have put a little bit more time into that deck than I did, because I had the Tragedy Turbo deck that I have is super fun. It just, it's one of those things where, because it's super, super gimmicky combo, like it's another, you either win or you don't kind of thing. And
yeah,
you got to be a little more spread out.
I do think the only thing that I was kind of, apprehensive, I guess I should say, it's probably not the best word, but disappointed maybe, was the secret choice being Piccolo Son Gohan. Like, great card, great secret, but it felt like it's one of those secrets that was already kind of lower in terms of secondary market, whereas I feel like there was the thoughts of like, potentially Beast Gohan again, but that did get listed for like the cereal for events, and then also a lot of people potentially wanting the Gogeta Unrivaled Sparking, the broken yellow secret that has changed the course of some games for the worst, in terms of the markers it creates. I mean, ultimately got Absolute Annihilation banned. Surprised it didn't get Frieza Emperor U7 banned, just for the amount of power that it has.
I would kind of push back on that. I kind of really like that they they picked Picklehan for the reprint. I understand that it wasn't necessarily the most expensive SCR to reprint, but it is a very good card that most people like. As a reprint card, I feel like it was a nice target. Like, I feel, because if they would have reprinted Gogeta, that card would have been hit by now, because I think the reason why Gogeta has not been nerfed in any kind of way is because it is price locked and not everybody can get a hold of it. And
I can see that as well, which is also in the same vein, going back a couple ways of the like the Kefla promos, being that it's so kind of pieced and price locked out. It's not really looked at in terms of like, I shouldn't say data, because we know Gogeta has been looked at under a lens as far as like data from events goes. But I guess I can agree. I'm not saying that it shouldn't have been a secret in the set though. I think the only options that when we were thinking about it and speculating when the set came out was between Newfound Might potentially having Gogeta as that surprise reprint, and then also having I think Light in the Dark was the other kind of like safer pick, because it was also in the same price range too.
Yeah, I kind of wish they would have done what they did with the premium box, or like I can't remember the fifth anniversary one where they had 3 SCRs that you can get.
The Goku and the Vegeta.
Well, because it was Broly, it was the Vegeta, yeah, and the Goku.
Oh, I think that might have been the year before.
Yeah, because I remember like it was kind of a cool idea. Like they weren't necessarily the greatest SCRs you could have gotten reprinted for.
That was Hatch. Hatch was
Hatch. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of cool to have that option, like because in the premium box you got all three and an alternate art, but like in the regular boxes you got a chance to pull one of them. And I think that kind of made the multi-purchase part of it kind of worth it in a way, because if you're trying to get all three.
Definitely agree.
I feel like they probably could have done Pickle Han for the yellow, Beast Han, but even though I know they did the cereal, I still feel like a budget option for Beast Han would have been nice, because it is the definitive blue SCR outside of Hatch. And then I guess like we could have had Light in the Dark.
I say either Light in the Dark or maybe Vermilion Sands.
Vermilion Sands wouldn't be bad.
Another decent reprint pick.
Mm-hmm. Because that card is kind of non-existent.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, most of the cards from that block, I guess I should say, are a little harder to find. But I know that in terms of playability over like Wicked Saiyans, Radiant, and then the fourth secret that is like escaping my mind.
What is it? So it's Wicked Saiyans, Radiant Saiyans, the Vermilion Saiyans, and then the fourth one was Panzino.
Yes, I don't remember.
Because that all came in the same set. Well, Vermilion, they all came in the same set. It was like the first time they did like 4 SCRs, I think.
Yeah.
Now, moving on to set 28. The first.
Yes, moving on to Prismatic Clash.
Another W set, like I said, because we got a new color. We got white, and it got one of the most baller mechanics of all time, in my opinion. I think the hidden and reveal mechanic is sick. I don't know how I feel about the way they launched white. I mean, I know black players really hate that set because there's no black cards in it, but
it was a very almost like a backstab to anyone that loves playing black and black only. Sorry, Dre.
I understand why they did it though, because they had to make space to make enough white cards, to even put together a deck. What they probably could have done is because they made a white pre-release leader with Beerus. And I feel like if they wanted to try to include black, they could have made one more white leader with actual like full deck support, and then a black leader. But I do understand that they wanted to provide more than just one archetype to play white, and both of them uniquely do different things. I favor one more than the other, but I'm usually wrong.
Yeah, we definitely see it. Now, I mean, we'll again get into it a little later, but with set 29 having that like pick and choose of what colors don't get leaders, and I think moving forward we'll probably see more of that. But I do agree. I do think they could have at least given black something, and I think that's what kind of lowers this grade a little, because we know that they kind of took back or walked back set 29 to retool it a little bit. Which is ultimately another, what led to another like lull in between sets while we just kind of, waited around.
I think the pull rates for set 28, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of. I know that they're trying to make the boxes be more valuable in the secondary market, but only pulling one of every SPR in a case is kind of a feels bad.
Especially when you know that there's more than 12, so you might not even get all of them.
And then,
being that I think these sets now have like 15 SPRs, and then on top of it, the concept rares only being 4 to a case.
That one's crazy to me.
out of all 5 of them, I feel like I wish that pull rate was improved. We're gonna have to see pull rates for the next set too. I feel like it's probably consistent. Still another 4. The SPR or not, sorry, SLRs for leaders though, you know, still knocking it out of the park.
Beautiful
with,
SLRs.
With those, you know, fucking Arinsu, Belmod, Goku having, you know, that fun hit on it. I'm probably blanking on a lot of them off the top of my head, but
Flip-On, Red Flip-On. Then there was
Purunga. I think Purunga is probably one of the better ones there with the with its art.
Great Saiyaman. He got first ever Saiyaman. Then we got Chi-Chi. Then we got Tien reboot. What was the other yellow leader? I'm trying to think. I'm drawing a blank on what the other yellow leader was. Was there another yellow leader? I feel like there was. Had to.
Yes, and again, also just gonna blank on it. It's gonna be one of those things that just escapes my mind.
We'll remember here in a moment, but
Yeah.
I definitely wish that the concept rare should have been more than just 4 per case, especially since there's at least one of them being the blue one.
Vegito.
Yeah, Vegito. That's right. I was like, what is this? I can't. It was crazy because I had like the silhouette of the cards in my mind. I was like, what is this card?
It was the first. It was the second SLR I pulled from the set.
And I'm sitting here tripping out. I was like, because I remember I was a fan. Like, I'm not necessarily a fan of the deck, but I thought, I thought it was a little bit better than people gave it credit for. But Saiyaman obviously was the better of the 2 yellow decks. And the other, so it's Purunga, Gohan, Saiyaman, Vegito, Daimaku, and Arinsu, Belmod, and Goku. And I think that was all the leaders. And Tien and Chi-Chi. That's right.
Yeah. And then the other red deck that also...
Flip-On.
Oh, Flip-On. Never mind. You said that.
So I mean,
don't mind me.
A very good slew of leaders, cool leaders, especially ones that never got a leader before, aka Chi-Chi, and of course we got the first Saiyaman leader. So a great set overall thematically, and I love the white color. I do wish that they would have provided it with a little bit more strength out the gate because having to splash in those colors to make them a more viable does kind of suck. But I also understand like they were treading a fine line between white being broken out the gate and white being bad out the gate. So I think like overall the release was pretty decent. And of course, with the reveals that we got for set 29, it's gotten better. But
yeah, I do think I do think that with the way that the set came out, giving white kind of that room to breathe to start, and also having to choose what colors you might want to splash, kind of does open up a creativity to it to kind of see like what people might bring to the table. Obviously we know certain colors are more broken than others and provide a lot more longevity, and also giving a color very limited removal to barrier that's still very prominent in these in this meta, kind of makes people lean towards what we saw with black, some with blue, yourself trying yellow.
Yes. That is a great thing that came from it, because I wouldn't have never thought of the spicy shit I did with white, yellow, U7.
Yeah. I think overall, another banger of a set in terms of adding to the card pool, especially the concept rares. I think almost all of them are really good, aside from maybe the Tien versus Goku. It's good, but it's more like dormant.
Yeah.
But partial dormant, not the negation portion of it though, just the kind of removing of tokens. So like, I think that got the short end of the stick out of the 5. Because like Jiren obviously is still Jiren Goku is still really good for white as a thematic color just out of the gate. We see that the Goma versus Goku is really strong in blue. Frieza versus Goku being a bean for your leader, and then the Majin Buu versus Goku in terms of what skill negation, I believe.
Yeah.
And just being a general menace for yellow. And of course, all of them being double strikes that you can play for 1 energy.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was gonna get into, because like they did a really good job with the design of the cards. I don't think any of them are egregiously broken, but they're also like strong enough to where they're like except for maybe blue, I would say they're like a solid 1 to 2 of for their color. Some less than others, but I think blue is the only one where some people might actually want to play more than 2, because blue having revenge on play is nuts. But that's the only reason why I feel like the pull rates could have been better, because getting a hold of the cards do suck, especially the blue one, because that's the only one I think that's really truly maintained a solid value. But that's neither here nor there.
I see, and that's the thing too, as far as the pull rates go, is that it's nice for what they do, but maybe again outside of blue, you don't necessarily have to play them in a deck either, which is great. Like it doesn't completely hinder deck building,
right?
Especially for every color and like all the leaders that we have now, and like this kind of like wide open meta.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice to see. Like even if you have just like having them as a one of in a deck to kind of be like that, I don't know if you want to call it like a mini secret or a hidden gun, so to speak.
Yeah.
It really gives them great utility, and even looking to the new line of CRs, those also have like utility in their own right. It's nice to see that we're getting kind of just general generic use cards.
Mm-hmm.
It's always fun playing generic good stuff deck.
Mm-hmm.
Which is what the Frieza promo will probably end up being, is just generic good blue.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as to close out the year, I think we still kind of go into that little bit of a downward spiral as we waited for set 29. We did think that it was going to come out December, just before Nationals.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got told that it's not coming out until January. I think some of it was kind of like it wasn't really told. It was just kind of like, hey, here's the release date, and then we found out more info that the release date got pushed. So I think I would like to see moving forward like more transparency.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of what leads into like the grade that I gave. Nats was a blast, as we talked about previous. But I hope that for 2026 that we kind of get more consistent in terms of events being shown, or leading to the page, or just more transparency and things that are like potentially going on that they can reveal to us, to kind of keep the public not like up in arms or like pitchforking over nothing.
Yeah, and I think definitely the last third was really nice of the year. I mean, Nats went so smooth that it caught me off guard, because I was waiting for at least one allegation to come out. Like there was like a soft one that really wasn't with
which is good.
Yeah.
We did good to end the year, to not have multiple accusations or sloppiness. It kind of came together pretty nice, and then on top of it, the little added like extra special event that they did with Fosh and our champ AJ. Shout out to both of them. They both put on a great show.
Yeah, it was funny because I got invited to that, but we had to fly, so it'd have been really cool to be able to get on that, because I think I was invited because people knew I had a channel, which would have been cool, but because it would have made it like a 3v3, and that terrifies me, because I had never been on a stream before necessarily for gameplay, but I would have just embarrassed myself. But in the end, it was a cool thing to see for the community and everything, and I believe Fosh did get his booty kicked in. I don't remember.
He did. The picture floating around afterwards of him giving up his head judge.
Oh coat. Yeah, that's right.
So AJ is now our new level 3, level 0.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he'll start giving us more direction.
For sure. Well, and speaking of that, another like W thing, which was also followed by an L thing, was the fact that Bandai, after the travesty that was Nationals, they revamped their judging and their like watching of rule breaking and cheating was like improved, and we saw that very quickly because the L part of that was right after they announced that they were doing that. We hit like the worst string of cheating that I've seen in a very long time. In like,
yeah, it was like the same weekend after when the first thing happened at the DBS Fest that you went to, and it was the only streamed game. So it wasn't great for us.
No.
I know, it wasn't pretty good.
It was just wild
and
because they just announced it, and then you go and do it on stream. I was like, okay, well.
And then leading into the second to last, or the last event before Nats, being the whole Austin.
Yeah, that one
cheating
hurts.
and then like I think on top of that, there was 5 out of 8 people that had some sort of cheat to soft cheat that were scrutinized. It was a very not great time, and I kind of hope that we as a community, one, get better at calling it out, and then 2, hopefully, one, calling it out correctly, and then 2, making sure that we actually get some sort of, I shouldn't say justice, but that it's dealt with in a manner appropriate, because obviously we can't all be judges, or we don't all want to be judges, but we would like to see that put in a good light too. And I know the judges for our game can't see everything, and they're not going to be able to rule on everything either, and some of it probably just comes down to what Bandai wants to do as well. But it is nice that the system was being overhauled, and hopefully better for the players. And with this upcoming year, I hope that we kind of keep growing for our bare bones people or crew, dedicated players. It is nice to see that they did talk about organized play already, and that Nationals is opened once again. So you hopefully will see the same number, if not more.
I agree.
Come next maybe 2026 into 2027.
I definitely. I think that there's a lot of potential for actual growth, because it seems like things have gotten better, even though with those few hiccups in the past year. Like, it was a very good year, I think, for just the community standpoint and of attendance and everything, because the sets have been really good. Having those cheats happen does put a black eye on like the outside in, because when you have the only stream games being publicized and people are doing cheats, or like people winning events by cheating, it kind of puts a huge black eye on the game itself, because people could be potentially watching Masters on stream and go, well, why would I want to go play that game when everybody's cheating? And where I think with the actual consequences for people's actions being implemented, that will slowly start to see that dwindle down and shrivel down to footnotes, if that. And I still think like when people can kind of see that, then that we will be able to grow.
I agree. I do think too that for the like ban list or list of infracted players, that you didn't have just their player ID, if it also included like the nickname, so people kind of knew like, oh hey, like this person. Maybe that just brings more light to shaming them, but it'd be nice to know rather than have to like guess or be like, oh hey, like what happened at this event. It seems a little more secretive and like under the rug. Not to say that we should again pitchfork people.
It's just sort of like the natural response of the community, because in the past Bandai was very, very lax about it, and if not lax, completely didn't seem to care. So the community had to take things into their own hands and kind of witch hunt and pitchfork, not necessarily saying that it was a great thing for them to do, but at that point it had been such a natural habit to do that even after they announced like the improved judging and rule checking and punishment giving, people were still doing that. So hopefully we can move away from doing the witch hunting that we've been so used to doing. I mean, granted, we're not going to stop the Hell group from trolling. I mean, the Hell group is Hell group, and I love the Hell group for being the Hell group. So, but
sometimes a little much, but also sometimes some comedic gold.
Absolutely. Before we get into our personal grades for the year, I figured this would be a good time to bring it up. There was a template that was circulating on the community page. This was sort of like your favorite things. I think it's 6 of them, like favorite category-wise for the DBS Masters 2025. And starting off, favorite deck/leader. What was yours?
Oh, for 2025, man. I honestly, I'd probably have to say Gamma. When History of Z came out, I think starting to play that, being reminiscing of the previous Gamma lead, and being able to play my favorite boy Cell.
Yeah.
It kind of all came together. I think for 2025 that'd be my pick as far as a deck. Yeah, probably both for deck and lead.
So I didn't really separate it. I just picked a favorite deck, so I couldn't really figure out a favorite lead. But my favorite deck, and I looked at this from a standpoint of how much fun I had playing it, and which is why I kind of regret putting it down. But I also know that the deck loses hard to certain sideboard cards, and this might catch you off guard. But my favorite deck that I played this year was Red Flip-On, or Sneak-On as I called it. When I picked that deck up, it obviously to me I think it's a little underrated. I know it has not done a damn thing, and it is a very your opponent dependent deck. It's very easy to play around, but I think like the amount of pressure that it could generate and the cool stuff that it could do with the surprise attack Krillin that doesn't allow your opponent to combo. So it triggers the flip effects a lot. So I just had a lot of fun playing that deck because of all the interactions it did. I do wish I would have put a little bit more time into it, but I did so poorly at Dallas with it that I was just like, well, maybe it was just my deck choice. But really, what it broke down to is practice as usual. What else is new with me?
I do think that the deck to me looks really cool because I never actually played it.
Mm-hmm.
And any deck that kind of has that alternate awaken or not an actual awaken to kind of remind me of launch, is always one of those fun type of decks, which is where you see I guess I should say not specifically launch, but moving forward Bola. Well, again, something to get into later, but that deck kind of makes me think the same way.
And it was, to me, even though Arinsu has it, it had the best implementation of revenge. People really got to learn what revenge did.
With Nail.
With Nail, and there was also a Gohan that had revenge that you could redirect attacks to. Because the whole premise of the deck was to redirect your attacks. Redirect attacks both offensively and defensively to your Gohans. And there was one.
Yeah, I think if I had to choose, if I had to choose a leader to add into mine, would probably be Arinsu. That deck also was way too much fun to kind of close out the year.
My close second was U7 Goku White. I like that deck a lot. But I think just overall the most fun I had was Red Flip-On, Sneak Attack On, whatever you want to call it. What was your favorite card of 2025? This one was really hard for me to figure out, but I landed on something solid.
So it would be very hard for me to figure out, but leading into also still playing it in Gamma at the time that I played it, and leading up to the end of the year, my card would be SS Broly Unrestrained Destruction, because playing a 35k that can bottom deck something and also swing and potentially have double strike for 2 energy in a blue deck, and get rid of problem cards is probably the best fun I've had playing blue.
Well, John, I have to disqualify that answer because that came out in 2024.
Oh, no. I know it did, but I used it through 2025, so it is my favorite card of 2025.
But we're talking about things that came out in 2025. But I'll let it go.
Oh, see, I'll have to give that some thought then.
Okay, I'll go with mine.
The
my
pool
favorite
is vast.
Yeah, I was like, what am a caveat? We're talking about cards that came out in 2025. So my I gotta look at the name because this fucking quality sucks. But it is the white Goku SR SPR. The one, like, I love that card. I think it does everything. Like it. If you could show somebody a card that represented white, I feel like
Power Through Evolution.
Yes, Power Through Evolution. It does everything that white wants to do. It hides stuff, it reveals stuff, it gives removal, and it also boosts your leader by 20. It does so much for one card. And I felt like every time that I saw it, I wanted to play it and have it on field. I always loved playing it out. It does a lot, you know. It is hindered by the fact that you have to be on 3 energy, but, you know, the fact that it's a 1 cost and of course, like I said, when you play it, you could choose any card in your battle area or energies, hide it, and then you KO one of your opponent's battle cards, and your white leader gets 20k. So it does a lot. I really enjoyed playing this card a lot throughout the time that it was available.
I think it's one of those cards that over time is also just going to continue to be good, because it's not just specifically for, like, say, U7 or like gods. It's just white as a generic color. Being able to buff any white lead to like a 35 or higher is just really, really strong.
Next up, unless you think,
I think I can go back on another one.
Okay.
I would probably have to say the Red Sun Goku, Unlimited Potential.
Okay.
Playing it in just red, and say like the Vegeta deck, being able to neg something 20k and then have a barrier blocker, also just a potentially a dual attacker as well. It really, really strong, and continues again to be like a red staple.
I could see that. It's definitely one of the best cards that I think came out in 2025, especially for red. You know, it does so much, and it's great defense. It's definitely better defensively, I think, because it's a barrier blocker, and it restands on combo. So I could see that. I kind of thought that would be one of your picks, but I wasn't sure. I either thought it was going to be something from red or something from blue.
Either one, yeah. Because like, if I had to choose a second runner-up, though, I would probably choose the. I think it's from the same set. The dual attack Frieza.
Okay, yeah.
I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but also another strong card, and the attacking a Saiyan, KOing it, and being able to restand is just like, on brand for Frieza.
Racist Frieza.
Yes, racist Frieza.
If you know, you know.
Powerful, fun little card.
What was your favorite SCR of 2025?
Ooh, I mean, I have 6 to choose from.
I believe so. Yeah, 6. Technically 7 if you want to count the reprint, but I doubt.
I'd probably go with the Vegito, SSB Vegito. Being able to play a triple strike to close out a game. That's actually, yeah, I think I'd still go with Vegito.
I kind of had a hard time deciding on mine too. I think I kind of broke it down to the coolness of what it did for the type of player that I am, and just kind of the art and everything. I went with the Frieza Eternal Enemy SCR.
I knew it. The card is very, very, very pretty. Being the multi-form secret.
And it's like a big ass floodgate if you want it to be. Removal. It just does a little bit of everything, Yeah,
I think that'd probably be my second contender. Because out of the new series, Beerus is cool, but not all that great. I'm not a super big fan on Beer. I mean, I do love the leader. Don't get me wrong. The the set 8 leader is great.
Yeah.
There's some love for the Beerus ramp. But I think just the secret kind of feels a little off, and it's maybe just because it's a flat background.
And it's kind of a little bit of a
destroyer orbs are cool, but the gold with it. I think, yeah, I'd still choose Vegito.
Yeah, the white Beerus SCR was honestly a letdown for me as well, mostly because if they're gonna make the archetypes be a little bit more on the mid side. They really need a strong ender, and Beerus just was not that. I mean, it's a big double striker. It can hide things, it can protect itself, but it didn't really like feel like a game ender. It just kind of felt like a big battle card that did white stuff basically.
Yeah.
So because if they're not gonna make the archetype super powerful, they gotta give it a good ender. Favorite SPR or SLR?
Favorite SPR for 2025. I gotta give shout out to Dragon Ball of Dreams.
Fire.
That art is just too great out of Prismatic Clash. I'm glad that I decided to pick up a set, or not a full set of them, I should say, for Purunga, because it's so nice to look at.
What about your SLR? Do you have an SLR pick?
SLR's it's a little hard between these. I'd probably just go with Gamma, but I also have my gripe with the cutoff portion of it. Given that we've only really had the 2 sets leading up to it, maybe I honestly might just go with Gamma. I think maybe Purunga. Actually, Purunga's solid SLR.
So my favorite SLR is a deck that I never played, but every time I look at it, I'm like, I wish this deck was better than what it was. And we're talking about Piccolo Brotherhood Bonds, the Revive deck from History of Z. I love that SLR so much. It whenever I look at it, I was like, I need to pick up that deck, because even though it doesn't do much, but it just looks so good with I've seen it in person, the texturing on the card, the purple outlining of Kami and Piccolo. I just think that card's beautiful. I think SPR wise, that's a tough one, because I wasn't a super huge fan of the SPRs in History of Z. They look kind of plain to me. But there wasn't a one that I think really screamed out to me from Prismatic Clash, so I didn't really pick one. But I guess if I had to gun point into my head, probably the Sun Gohan Unlimited Potential. I love the Orange Piccolo and the Beaston standing next to each other. It kind of reminded me of my Whatnot days when I was selling a lot of Super Dragon Ball Hero cards, because there's a special wear, or I think it was a dynamic art. I forgot the name. I think that's the name of them, of that art from Super Dragon Ball Heroes, and I had that card. But other than that, there really wasn't. I wasn't super impressed with a lot of the SPRs in the last 2 sets. I mean, they always look good. I mean, SPRs are always going to look good, but yeah. I think that's kind of where I land. I really was solidified on that Piccolo, but if I had to pick an SPR, probably the Gohan Piccolo.
Okay. I think if I made a second contender for SLR, it would probably be the Son Goku and Bulma first encounter.
Okay.
It's got a clean background image. The motorcycle, both of them just kind of riding along. It's not cut off.
If I did have to pick a second one for SLR, probably White Goku. I mean, I love Hit and I love Goku and I love that deck, and I hate so much. I love that Hit's on there, but I hate it that it's not a Hit deck also, because it's kind of like Hit got cucked out of being part of the card.
Yeah, in the sake of just kind of promoting Tournament of Power.
And it really could have helped them out a lot, but it is what it is. But that brings us to favorite set of the year.
Prismatic Clash. The introduction of White, the CRs, the leaders, the different themes, and kind of how each deck plays. It's just a kind of an all resource type of set moving into a new block.
I can see that. I had a really tough time picking this, because it was between Prismatic Clash and it was between that and the anniversary set. And I picked the anniversary box set purely because I was such a huge fan of all the support it provided, and all the support being so good. Even though we didn't get to see like the potential that it could have put into the meta, and well, we did and we didn't. Like we didn't get a true like anniversary box meta, even though we did see Kefla do very well. But I feel like there was just a lot of missed opportunity with that set, and I just couldn't always appreciate really good legacy support. And I feel like that's what sets like anniversary boxes or expansion sets should be there for. So I think I definitely landed on the anniversary set just for those reasons, because I love seeing old support for old decks. Because at a certain point, if they don't provide anniversary or legacy support, you might as well do rotation, even though everybody hates the idea of it. I do too for this game, but
yeah,
if you're
I don't think this game could last with that ever.
No, but like if they don't ever improve the old decks, no, you might as well call it rotation, because no one's gonna play the old decks. So, and then lastly, that brings us to the favorite reprint of 2025.
I'll let you take this one.
So we talked about it earlier. My favorite reprint was Picklehan. Because of the fact that it is, even though it's not the best yellow SCR, it is the most. It is like the secondary. Like everybody, if you don't have Gogeta, you're probably playing Picklehan, and making that card, which is already super good on its own, even though it wasn't super expensive. There are some people that can't, drop 80, 50. I think it's at like, I don't know, at the time was like 50, 60, 80 bucks, somewhere around there. Not a lot of people could still do that. And that made that card, even though it's still strong, even more affordable for people to get, make it more widely available. Would I have like to see more reprints for SCRs? Sure, absolutely. But I just think just for its use case and its what decks can use it, and like providing an excellent option for more people, I think that it was just my favorite reprint overall. My second would have been Frieza Goku DBR. That card needed to be desperately reprinted.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
But I think definitely Picklehan was my favorite.
So both of mine are going to be from the same reprint section. One was Backbone of U7 being our prize support for Nats, giving it another printing, also another art. It's not kind of just the gold event pack and then just a random foil. So it's nice to have that as a reprint. And then my other reprint is all of the Mighty Blasts. They did a really good job in terms of making them all kind of have that same what do you call it, a shine to them, and also seeing set 28 with it, introduction of white, and then also making the Transcendent Limit Break a foil alt art already.
As soon as you brought
was really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, they look beautiful. I bought 2 of them immediately. But I think as soon as you mentioned the reprints from the Nationals, my mind went immediately to the Mighty Blasts and the Transcendent Strike. So that, with that in mind, that's definitely my at minimum second place.
I think that's my top. And then like on the back of that is probably like the gold foiling to some of the premium alt. I'd probably say the what is it? Goku and Vegeta combo attack.
Oh yeah,
having a gold printing. Definitely another tournament promo that could see maybe a secondary reprint down the road with like an alt art, just because it's a kind of just a generic Overrealm, which is nice, and being able to charge Z makes it like perfectly on brand to help black decks with the they're not black, to help decks with like Z charging.
I agree. I mean, I think Bandai has done a very, very good job this year specifically with needed reprints. And they've also continued even more so with the announced reprints that they have starting off the year.
I'd say yes and no for Nats, because I think Backbone was the only card from that set that really needed a reprint. The rest
Yeah.
of them seemed a little kind of past their prime, except for maybe like Rapid Reversal, as just like a generic sideboard card, but like that already has a winner. So like, and they weren't like super like pricey in any manner, but I do wish that maybe that pack had maybe some different options, but also it would have been nice to see them be as not just a flat foil, but also have like a gold finish too. I'm holding out for another run of potential cards that have like the black background with championship in it, because those to me are like the really nice prizing, and I think that's from like 2022, somewhere around there.
I definitely agree with that. I will say, like, I'm thinking of the grand scheme of things. So I keep like blanking out Nationals pricing. So National pricing was kind of a disappointment in that aspect. I mean, again, I loved like the Mighty Blast got reprints with a gold stamp, because those kind of, I wouldn't say they needed it, but I think the only one that really did needed like a shiny reprint was Transcendent Strike, because it didn't get one. But I would agree for sure that the reprints that they put in the prizing packs for Nationals, most of them, if not all of them, really didn't need it. I do love that Backbone got reprinted because it only had 2 printings, but need and need are 2 different things.
yeah.
But I think that breaks it down to, I think that is all for like the favorites out of that little diagram. I would say what we could finish it off with a little bit of a negative one, but I want to ask you what is the biggest disappointment of this entire year that you've had?
Man. I think some of it's just kind of the waiting and not knowing, in terms of like what we're being thrown into, because it does feel like sometimes things are just kind of like, I wouldn't say guinea pigged, but like they test the waters, and then you don't really see like it happen again. But I think for me it was more the like waiting on like I should say like lists for like new sets, and then like the ban list, that like just being able to answer problem cards between events and like data, and then hopefully being more on top of that, because sometimes it makes you think back for me at least of like the whole like set 18 debacle that kind of like divided the player base, in terms of them like taking so long to take action on these 2 very strong red decks in a format, that ultimately was basically saying, hey, let's just have set 20 or set 19 like solve it for us. I don't like thinking of it as like, hey, do we have to get that way, because I feel like right now we're in a very healthy spot in terms of like the meta and gameplay. There's very few cards on my mind that I could think could be banned or could be limited in some way, and I know they don't really like to limit cards, but I feel like some of them might be easier to just kind of keep it as a limit and give another pseudo secret in that sense, but rather than having to outright ban cards.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think my biggest disappointment definitely have to do with like the way that the delays have been and how it's dramatically thrown things off schedule. Before we started recording, like I was talking about, like I understand why they do it this way, but I hate that Worlds is like at the end of the first quarter of the year. So 2026 is already kind of, in my opinion, starting on a really bad foot, because we're getting set 29 and then we're not going to have any actual events for Masters outside of maybe 1 or 2 right at the beginning of March for like not NA. And we're going to have an entire set get wasted in the same way. Almost, I wouldn't even say in a worse way than Anniversary Box did, because at least Anniversary Box, we weren't sitting on that set for a couple of months. It was just a couple of weeks and we lost out on that. But set 29 is going to be around for a couple of months and no events to really truly try it out and see how it does in the field. And then we're going to have set 30 right before Worlds. And that just kind of feels bad to me. So I just kind of
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that.
Mhm.
It is a very feels bad moment,
Mhm.
especially when you take like this new set, comparing it to like the meta that we already have,
Mhm.
and then having to test like all of those decks versus that old
Mhm.
meta in a sense, while like paving way for like all of these new cards, and then the amount of like different sideboard cards that are already prevalent for each theme. As we talk about it being a necessary evil sometimes, but like say like Koitsukai, now Dark Power, Black Mass Sand coming back into the limelight for all the decks that play stuff by skills. Like,
Mhm.
will that deter some from just playing that deck entirely and not just playing a color that's like strong to hold its own like through those cards,
Mhm.
while just kind of dabbling in maybe some set 29 cards.
Yeah.
And oh, sorry.
No, you're good. I was just thinking, overall, like the other thing that I'm disappointed in is just sort of like it was more of a community aspect, which was when we had that huge line of cheating, but that's less so like a really really condensed blip of 2025.
Yeah.
So
I think sorry, I was gonna say I think another kind of disappointment, even though I know it was something that they tried, with their whole heart on, was the reveal season leading up to set 29.
yeah.
It kind of was another thing in this month that kind of like was cool to see, but then also kind of killed the hype. And then just kind of having the cards show up. I shouldn't say leak, but to have them be shown off, and then still not really get any like news, or maybe in a sense like expedited reveals from like the main page. It was kind of just the same leaders, some SLRs, and then kind of nothing like cold turkey. I think the first video leading up to Nats was really a lot of hype. And then like the following weeks it kind of just like dwindled, and I feel like some of that was of us like not seeing the next video until they like dropped it like later on in the week, was maybe an answer, or not an answer, sorry, a response to like the cards being leaked, in terms of like a, hey, like you guys leaked this, so like as a community, like here's a slap on the wrist. Because I know that Bandai has done their very best to like get us hyped up for this card game and the cards they show off, and that being taken away, I know is probably a big gut punch to them, because there are people that just want to see like what the cards are, what the cards do, and not really give themselves the hype in the same way that Bandai is trying to like get the point across. But I do think that it kind of fell off on this one. Not to say that it's not something they could try again, but it would be interesting to see if they could I don't know, maybe do something with the community again, to try to like drive hype among like the players, and not kind of watching videos where a lot of it you see is kind of just like reading a prompter.
Yeah, so like I love the concept of what they did, especially with the video they posted right before Nationals. I think the mistake that they made with that was they didn't just do daily uploads. Like if they would have just like been revealing something every day with these videos, it would have worked out a lot better, because everybody would have been excited, like, oh, what's going to come out tomorrow, like versus the one video a week that hardly revealed anything. You got a couple of cool cards to see, but it just wasn't enough to satiate what people wanted. Or another thing that they could have done was, did the video, then revealed, like, especially if they're highlighting like specific leaders, they did the video, then revealed all the cards for that archetype on the page, and then people could really look at the archetype. So you're getting enough to satiate, but you're also pacing it well, because it was just so poorly paced. And by the time that we've seen everything, like you said, it's already been leaked by some people, and we may not have seen every single card, but like the majority of it was leaked by people who somehow got stuff early. I don't know how they did it. I don't really care. I mean, but it's
entirely possible it just showed up, and then they just kind of sold it to whoever.
Yeah. So I think like it's a great idea, but poorly executed.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, again, it's another thing that even though I think it's a negative thing for the year, it's definitely something that could be improved. Which is where we come to like the again the feeling of like the lull for 2026 with like events. A lot of people think that, like the pop-up events might be like a precursor to like LCQs for Worlds. I'm under the impression that it might be a pop-up for like showcasing new stuff. Maybe also just in Dragon Ball in general for the series as a whole, because we know moving into 2026 they had more plans for it. Maybe a potential to continue the manga, or not vice versa. Sorry, or something to that manner. And like going through the list of the pop up, because I think it's called a pop up event, not like a pop up battle. That I would think that it's more of a showcase, and I see on the list for it that like one of those locations is in Jersey, and most of the time that stuff goes to like the American Dream Mall. So that's going to be a small space in there that they also did this past year for Daima. So I think it would be a great spot to be able to showcase like upcoming product and then upcoming cards in general, or if they have like anything new in the works in terms of probably between Masters. I'd say Fusion World, but it seems like it's listed specifically for Masters, so I guess we'll see.
So I think overall the year was a net positive in terms of grading. Initially I had this at like a C- to D+, but I think I can agree with you that it's like at a C+, at the low point. I think overall, like, we've seen some good things, even though there was a huge chunk of bad stuff, but it kind of equaled out a little bit more so on the positive side. On a personal level, how would you rank your 2025 for you as a player, as a community member, or like your experience? I'm not gonna try to toot my own horn in any of it, because I know that in terms of events, for the ones that I did attend, I didn't do a whole lot of playtesting, especially for like back in May, for the Carta Magica regional in Niagara. I kind of just played a couple of games here and there, and then like figured I'd be fine and just kind of chill and have fun. So like I expected it to do well, and then it kind of just became like a string of bad game after bad game for me. I still kept it in because it wasn't like a lot of people in the event, so I knew that I'd still get top prizing, but it didn't feel good overall. But being part of the community, and especially like in Hermit style and like running the local and everything, that kind of brings myself back a little in terms of like a self grade. I'd probably say overall for the year in terms of playing the game, that's solid, like maybe B+. I had a lot of fun. There's been a lot of leaders that have come out, a lot of cards, a lot of different decks to try. Hosting the event, the discords that we've joined, between like Eternal Dragons, stuff that goes on in like MPU, Hermit itself, and now the different communities that are also trying to host events. It feels pretty good in terms of like a grade to give myself, and also like this community that we have. That's a solid score. I mean, I think that's accurate for you. I mean, you had a pretty decent run, with nationals too. I mean, did you?
Oh yeah, that too.
I mean, did you top? No, but I mean, you did pretty well, I think.
I think that's what gives myself, or what I can think of myself in terms of like a little bit higher, because I didn't top in that manner for top cut, but I didn't have a bad game. I didn't have a game that I thought like, man, I couldn't do anything. It was out of my control. I didn't let anything like get to me in that manner either. I was able to analyze each of those games and figure out kind of where I went wrong, if I did. So like it was a good experience.
So, I've been thinking about this really hard for myself, because I'm trying to be, we are all our own worst critics, but I'm trying to give myself enough graces to make it not a total, like, I don't think I got an F Like, I don't think I fucked up that bad this year.
No, definitely not.
But, it just wasn't a super good year for me as a player. I'm going to give myself a C minus, and I'll tell you why. So, as a player, I can recognize that I've pretty much shit the bed all year. I mean, I went, in my LCQ, I think I played in 3 events. I played in the LCQ, and I think I won 3 games, which was more than I thought I was going to win. I think it was either 2 or 3. And, and then in Dallas, I technically didn't win a single game on my own merit. But I did win 3 games because either I had a no-show, someone gave me the game, or I had another no-show. And then of course at Nationals, I only won 2 games. And every single one of these events were literally just me being stupid because I either didn't practice enough or I didn't stick with a deck properly.
So you made a last-minute change.
And, I kind of looked at Nationals as like my final test, as a player. I wasn't expecting myself to top or anything, but I wanted to do a lot better than I have in the past because there was about 4 or 5 months ago when I did that whole I'm retiring thing, and I said I was going to retire from being a bad player. And, I really meant that, and I was really gonna try for it, but I kind of got caught up in the content grind, and that's kind of part of the reason why I gave myself a little bit of boost in my grade for the year because I feel like I became a pretty solid part of the community. It started off with a meme. The People's Champ was a meme. It was one of those things where like I still to this day cannot believe it stuck like it did. I thought I was going to call myself that for like a day or 2 and people would be like, okay, just stop it, but everybody just kind of rode with it.
If you believe hard enough, it comes true.
I don't even think I believe. I think everybody else believed. And so, starting the channel, technically I started this channel like way back at the beginning of the year when I tried like recreating the Hermit style podcast because Jimmy stopped doing it. But
yes, After Dark.
After Dark. And it was kind of funny because I always did the posts at like 11:30 at night. Just to
because you're still working night shift at the time.
And that's when like the degeneracy would come out. And everybody seemed to enjoy that. And then like I thought, maybe I'd try actually doing a podcast because I always thought about doing a podcast for Dragon Ball for a couple of years since I listened to Jimmy's stuff and all that, and so I did the pilot. Everybody liked it, and I kind of I turned it to the Kami House Lounge, and I kind of kept it up for like a month or 2, and then I kind of just teetered off, and then I joined up with the Team Vermilion guys. Like it was me, Austin, Bailey, Matt, Nick, and a few others. Too many to list, to be honest. And it started off decent, but it didn't really go anywhere for me specifically. It kind of became one of those too many chiefs, not enough Indians, because I think the way we had it set up was that nobody was technically in charge, and so nobody was getting anything done. And so, because we tried starting the channel, and I was supposed to be the content manager for that, and we started off all right. We had some videos, but then like it was like pulling teeth to get people together to actually record a video. And I was a little controlling about it, but I was also looking at it from a perspective of quality over quantity. And
yeah, I get that.
And so like there was some videos like people wanted to do that lower, like they recorded, and I looked at it as like, this is not going on the channel kind of thing. And then there was some drama, so then that's when me and Austin left, and we started doing our own thing, and that's how Eternal Dragon TCGs became a thing. And of course, that was going pretty strong for a little, for a good couple of months.
All out of the Slugs domain.
Yeah, the Slugs domain and all that. So that started off really strong. And then, again, at that point, like the Eternal Dragon TCGs YouTube channel, like it caught some fire, and I still think, it's doing pretty well. I mean, I just hit 201 subscribers. So, thank you to all who have subscribed. And thank you all for tuning in and, of course, supporting as much as you can. I know 200 on the grand scheme of things isn't a lot, but I appreciate every single one of you that are subscribed and tune into the podcast and the videos. And of course, the cheating happened with Austin, and then I went solo. And I kind of I like more being solo overall because I get to decide what I put on the channel. I don't have to worry about, waiting on someone else to have time to get together to record a video. I could just, decide when I want to do it. Find, like, for example, for the podcast, find someone who's available, you, Kush, anybody who's willing to be on the podcast, just, hey, when's free and let's record. That goes for the community spotlights. Like, that was probably, if not the podcast, that was probably my favorite thing that I started doing, which was the community spotlights, because, I think there's just a lot of cool decks out there that don't get the time of day or a light shined on it because they're not specifically topping events, or they're not strictly the best decks in the meta, or whatever. And
see, I think that alone should be boosting this up to like a C+.
Well, I appreciate that. So, I think, like, being, funnily enough, a content creator for Dragon Ball is the only thing that's kind of keeping me going at this point, because, I have been struggling a little bit with the motivation to stick around as a player, and I kind of briefly mentioned in, like, private chats, in the last couple of days that I've considered stopping playing the game overall. Mostly because, I feel like I failed myself pretty hard this year as a player, and, I didn't, I'm holding myself accountable pretty hard. I didn't do what I was supposed to do. I played like dog shit, or I did stupid things, or whatever. I had a great time overall at all the events, but, I feel like I should have done better, or should have, focused more. And I just didn't, and I feel pretty demotivated from that, to be completely honest. And of course, I think we talked about it before as well, like this lull in, like, Dragon Ball with no reveals, no events. I feel pretty demotivated to play, and it's made making content harder too.
Right. I'll go back on that a little in terms of this grade. I do think it's kind of hard to assess it out of just, like, 3 major events that you've played in. So I think you need to give yourself probably a whole nother year for more data.
Is that your way of trying to tell me that I can't stop playing it?
No one can stop playing. I mean, if we all stopped playing, then we wouldn't be yapping on this as we speak.
Well, and that's the other thing that I kind of think about as well, is, like, if I stop playing, am I even allowed to make Dragon Ball content anymore? Because like, I know that there are people out there that make content that do not play this game like they say they do, and I feel like that just ruins credibility, especially when you know that. And it's like, who's gonna care about my voice or my opinion on this game if I'm not playing it? And I do love this game, I really do. Like, it has nothing to do with, like, this feeling that I have has nothing to do with a lack of enjoyment for Dragon Ball. It's just, I don't know what it is about me. I just can't stick with something, and, like, I just get too many ideas, and, like, I feel like I need to almost sell out of a bunch of shit and just kind of, like, not buy anything.
Go back to, like, one deck.
Yeah, so I could. So I'm forced.
Maybe go back to the good old roots of something. Yeah, I could see it. I definitely see every color that I want to play, and then I only stick with, like, a couple anyways. So then it's kind of just stuff that sits around. But I do think in terms of a grade, I still think you're being a little harsh on yourself, but I do see where you're coming from. Yeah,
and like I said at the beginning, we're all our own worst critics, and I'm sure there'll be probably some people in the comments telling me to shut up. Probably looking at you, Corey, if you're listening to this. He gets mad every time I tell him I'm gonna quit.
Well, I mean, I can agree with this. Gotta not be too hard on yourself, and obviously, people in the comments can say whatever uplifting or demotivating things that they want to. Free will, baby.
So I think that brings us to, like, the final part of this. What do you think your goals are for 2026, or what you're looking forward to the most, or, like, what you want to accomplish?
Honestly, this kind of goes hand in hand with, like, thinking of, like, your grade, my grade, putting more time into, playtesting and playing games, and just kind of I shouldn't necessarily say sticking with one color, but like trying to, I guess, understand what I want to play like more, and not just say, oh, shiny thing, let me try, and then not ultimately like stick with it for an event or the manner. I playing a Nats this past year got me motivated to do it again and also get further, to kind of show myself that I can. Would be nice. Depending on obviously where it's located as well, because time frame, location, and if you can get time off from that thing that we call work.
Yeah, unfortunately, real life.
Yeah.
So
other than that, probably just more community growth, especially in terms of just the like locals, the other events that I would like to host in this coming year, and set up, and then also just kind of seeing the community grow and come together more. We have a lot of different avenues for people to play test, talk, theory, get better if you want to, and a lot of people that are there to help along the way.
And I think those are fantastic goals. And I think for me, what it breaks down to is right now, like my only saving grace, like only motivation that I have for the game as a player right now is White Babies coming out. And I think that deck looks sick.
I do like it. Even seeing like different decks that have popped up on like Deck Planet 4, talking with a couple of the homies about it as well. I even if the deck's not that strong or should be as strong as it looks, I still think that it's definitely something that can get better over time. Just kind of how white is going to be, especially being the new color on the block.
Yeah, I mean, and I know there's some people out there that are claiming that Bola is better, and that's just like, there's just something about Bola that I don't like. It's with its boss card, it's powerful, but it has no protection whatsoever, and I feel like from the examples of like, oh, this is what Bola can do, on like, people have posted screenshots of their untapped gameplay and all that, and like I feel like because that's all. It's all good data, but it's all in a vacuum. Like, and they could be playing against quality players in real, real games. But it just, I just look at Baby, and just on paper, it just seems so much better. The amount of aggression you can put out, and I feel like like the way that like I play is that I think I figured out over the course of the year is that I'm kind of an impatient person, even though I play a lot of control decks. But what ended up screwing me over is I get impatient, and then I just want to swing. And so I think I need to play something that's actually more aggressive, but has a little bit more substance to it.
Something that is just turn cards sideways.
Well, and so I think that was part of the reason why I had fun with Red Flip On, because it was turning cardboard sideways. We were trying to win by turn 3. It's just doing a bunch of stuff. And I think like, I've seen in the chats like that White Baby, with the proper like sequencing and high rolling, you can get someone down to 2 life turn 2. So like, it's just like
it's a Rinsu but white.
Uh-huh.
I do think that that's probably the good thing about this set coming up, is that looking at all of the decks on their own, just like reading cards and themes, they all seem like they read really, really well and fit I'm trying to think of the best word there. Fit the like type of play style that everyone could find comfortable with, whether you're control, aggro, mid range. Aside from mill, I guess if you want to count like Goku Black as like a South mill deck.
Fuck you, Bandai.
But I think there's something for everybody, even in terms of just like maybe a card here and there. And it is the other like downside of not having enough time to really like tinker with things, but it does also seem like it might be a cool like gotcha moment in terms of like our next regional season, because you'll have maybe something that goes under the radar that someone uses as a a launching point to kind of get into the top standings with something that someone like didn't recognize with the deck prior.
Mm-hmm. And I will say like one like silver lining to this lull between events with set 29 that I think it could allow myself a little bit more extra time to practice with White Baby. I mean, I do have like literally 10 pages of proxies sitting in my printer tray right now that I have not touched since I printed them.
I find it funny that by the time you cut them out, you will probably have your cards in hand. And then you'll just you'll look at them and be like, I printed those.
Yeah, I literally did that with Surge Q.
But I will say, if you don't want to feel that lull, we got Hermit Locals, you got MPU. I know we're still trying to get stuff started for Eternal Dragon. I think Dimension Magic is also starting to host locals in the coming weeks. I don't know if they started already or not. But there's a lot of avenues for us to be able to play test, and even if you want to just jam games, for
there's definitely a lot of avenues that I could take advantage of. That's the other thing that I would really like to be able to push more into as well with the next coming years. Like I want to continue the content grind. I love making YouTube content. I love doing stuff for Dragon Ball. And I want to try getting into commentary more. Like, so I really would like to get things going for Eternal Dragon in the Discord, so I could start. I did stream one event that we did, the one only event, and I had a blast commentating over it. And I think if I'm not going to be a top player, I would like to be looked at as a top commentator.
I was going to say a top supporter in terms of. Everything else, I do have to say, as a sidebar, I do really like the community spotlight videos. Being able to highlight just like everyone's pet decks in that sense, or decks that they hold dear, and kind of how they approach like deck building and their own play style. So I'm sure if anyone wants to drop Brent here a line on a community deck that they think they'd like to put up to the table, that'd be fun to see as well.
Absolutely.
Always love to see innovation.
Me too, absolutely. And if you're listening and you haven't, even if you've already been on the channel, you could always come back on if you have a new pet deck or a new like tech you want to show off that it may not be again number one meta deck in the world, but that's like the whole point of the community spotlights, is so we don't see the same 3 deck profiles over and over and over and over again, because there's only so many ways you can iterate on Warp Jita, so many ways you can iterate on Arinsu and all that. And of course, with the new set, is going to be whole new decks to look at. The other thing that I'm probably going to end up doing is I'm going to be broadening my horizons for content. So as some of you may have seen on the feed, there is a new TCG I'm excited about. The Cyberpunk, CD Projekt Red, and Weird Co. have announced, that they're going to be releasing a Cyberpunk TCG. And for anybody who knows me outside of Dragon Ball, they know I love the fuck out of Cyberpunk. It's like my favorite like genre when it comes to like a sci-fi genre. So, and like I play the tabletop RPG. I played the hell out of 2077. I love the anime. So like this is something that I'm really excited for. I do have some things in the works with Weird Co. That I can't necessarily talk about too much right now. So that'll be something to look forward to. And I think I might kind of start posting some videos just for myself. Maybe with some D&D content, because I do Dungeon Master for D&D, and like I said, Cyberpunk, and like I'm working on this idea to do a recap video for my players, because we are getting ready to start playing again, and it's been a couple of months since we played, and like rather than doing one long-winded recap at the table, I kind of want to do something cool and make a video for them. So if you guys see me post a random ass D&D video, you could watch it, and I'd love it if you did, but that's mostly just for me.
Some good stuff in the works.
So it'll probably be a slight and I don't want to call it a rebrand, but just kind of like an adjustment to where it's not going to be just Eternal Dragon TCGs. It's probably going to be just Eternal Dragon. I'm not going to do a complete rebrand again because I've done that 3 times this year. But and I kind of just want to turn my channel into something about everything that I like to do, and I think that will help maintain the content in a more consistent way, because the biggest struggle with Dragon Ball content is that sometimes you like this past month, because I'm sure it hasn't gone unnoticed that I haven't hardly, if not at all, posted anything this month. And there wasn't really a reason to, because we weren't getting reveals. Nats was over, and I had considered doing like a tier list video for the leaders based off a knee-jerk reaction, and I kind of felt like, well,
for this new set,
yeah, for the new set, and I was like, I didn't really know if it would be worth it, because it's kind of hard to judge the power of a leader based off of just a leader alone, but I thought it might be interesting, but I never got around to doing it. So there's some content ideas in the works. Dragon Ball's not going to go away. I'm still going to do community spotlights. It's still, I just want to show love to all the aspects of the hobby that I enjoy, and I hope a lot of you guys stick around for it.
Sounds like a fun year coming up. I feel like there was something else I was going to say. If you guys have listened to us this far, thanks. It's maybe a little off tangent from all of it, but not a bad way to end the year for this nice year in review.
Absolutely.
I think 2026 moving forward. I'm hoping we see a lot more content from Bandai as well. Again, in terms of events, maybe even like smaller events would be nice. Seeing like maybe more than just like the 1 to 2 regional and like a wave.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen them like with this new run of TPs being all reprints is a great starter, especially considering most of those reprints are the rest of the DBRs that have been kind of price locked for Power Wish.
Mm-hmm.
So kudos to them for making some things more affordable for those that just want like the card itself to play like officially, rather than like a proxy. As far as that goes, I already talked about having plans for for the Hermit locals, maybe something in Eternal as well, being able to branch out to kind of get a better reach for more players as well. It'd be nice with all the avenues and discords that we have to kind of just keep that going, keep the momentum up. Other than that, I don't really know if I have anything else that I can think of.
I will say one huge plus that happened this year that I am so happy that happened this year, and that is the return of Brother Kush. Our boy is back.
Yes. Brother Kush back to playing them androids, now playing set 29, getting him back into all good things Dragon Ball. I do have to say it's nice to just sit for hours and play against each other, because time just flies by when you're playtesting with the homies.
Like Brother Kush coming back to the game almost makes the end of the year like an A+.
Honestly, shout out to Kush. You have any other shout outs for this year? I feel honestly I feel like there's a big list that we could
yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm just gonna say generally, like, shouts out to the community as a whole. I mean, I know some people I have fake beefs with, but I know it's all love in the end. I mean, shouts out to you, John. I mean, you're one of the GOATs in my opinion when it comes to the community. You have done so much, not only for Hermit Style but just in general. I mean, you literally carry that server in my opinion. And that's
only
not
parts of it. Only parts of
it.
it.
I guess I say only parts of it. I mean, I love everybody in Hermit Style. I know I'm not in that Discord enough anymore, but I'm usually hanging around in my own. I think, shouts out to all the subscribers out there. Shouts out to, the teammates I've had along the way. Shouts out to Bandai for keeping this game going that a lot of people thought was going to die a long time ago, and No, and recognizing the fact that it has such a cult following.
What do you call it? Dead game since 2019.
Dead game since 2019.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
You know, and
just like Goku, we keep coming back with those wishes from Shenron, and all those senzu beans that carry us throughout the year.
Absolutely. And I don't think this game is going to die anytime soon because we know that we have it up to. We know literally
at least another year.
Another year.
And then another year after that.
Well, because we got all the way up in set 33 developed, so we got 3 more sets coming. So we got at least another year.
I think we talked about it maybe a couple weeks back, or it was a gentle nod that as far as the team goes, that they want to continue to support Masters for a long time. So if that promise holds true, I would love to keep jamming cards, and keep playing the game that we all love.
Me too. Well, that being said, everybody, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the Champs Table. If you would like to let me know what you guys would like to see in the 2026 year of my content creation, whether it be Dragon Ball videos, D&D videos, Cyberpunk videos, anything, or any other kind of video you want to see me make, please let me know down in the comments below. If you have made it this far and you're still listening, put down in the comments that your wish has been granted, because I want to know who the real ones are.
It was good to be on it again, to round out the year. And other than that, that's all I got.
All right, Dragon Ball players, it has been the Champ with RabidSquirrel John, and we are signing off. Peace.
Peace.
Hey everybody, this is the People Champ thanking you for watching this video. If you want to see content just like this, there should be a playlist attached at the end of this video. If not, check our channel out and see what else you like there. And as always, like, comment, and subscribe.